ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. We are reading from the book Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Yatiswarananda, and we are in the chapter Some Practical Hints on Meditative Life, chapter 21. Last time we read the section called Time for Meditation. Let's reread that section and then continue. Time for meditation. Try to practice meditation 4 times a day, as Swami Brahmananda has advised us, at dawn, midday, dusk, and midnight. At these points of time, nature becomes peaceful, and there is also a change in the flow of spiritual vibrations inside and outside us. Those who cannot meditate at all these times should at least stick to the morning and evening hours. How many times do we eat in a day? If we can find enough time for physical food, should we not also try to make time for spiritual food, which is absolutely necessary for a healthy mind? When we are hungry, we run and snatch some food. We must feel hungry for spiritual food also. Then we will not complain about lack of time. Morning is the best time for meditation. The night's sleep will have erased or quietened many of our memories, and it is easier for us to concentrate then. As soon as you wake up, salute the Lord and repeat His holy name. Fill your mind with the mantra and the holy image before you think about worldly affairs. Never allow the mind to dwell on worldly things as soon as you get up from bed. The conscious mind is then not active, and the unconscious mind is more receptive. So whatever suggestions you give to your mind at that time sinks down deep into the unconscious. The small hours of the morning just before dawn are the most precious for spiritual aspirants and should be fully utilized for japa and meditation. It is good to sit for a while on the seat after finishing your meditation. We should sit quietly thinking about the object of our meditation in a relaxed way. Then our mind will be filled with fresh spiritual thoughts and we will feel a higher joy. Where does this joy come from? It comes from the deeper layers of the mind. This is Bhajanananda, the joy derived from Bhajanananda, the joy derived from worship or meditation. We will then be at peace with ourselves and with the world. We may then recite some prayers and hymns along similar lines in order to intensify and stabilize the meditative mood and inner joy. Even after leaving the seat, we should not immediately talk with anyone, but should rather be contemplative and remain self-possessed. Practice like this fosters a continuous undercurrent of meditation, helping us to keep our mind on a high level. This after meditation sitting should be brief. If you meditate for 15 minutes, should you go on sitting there for 3/4 of an hour? If you meditate for an hour or an hour and a half, you may continue to sit for another 15 minutes or so to protect your spiritual mood from a sudden invasion of worldly thoughts. That is what Swami Brahmananda advises us to do. Next section, instructions regarding sleep. 5 to 6 hours sleep is enough for the spiritual aspirant. 8 hours are generally too much. Sleep as such is not so much necessary as the conscious minimizing of our nervous and mental tensions at all times of the day. In order to be able to meditate, we should be able to relax. We should first learn how to decrease the tension of our nerves. Very nervous people can never meditate. After that, we should control our sentiments and feelings, even if they be good and pure or elevating. By developing the spirit of self-surrender, we should be able to make the mind passive, attuned to the infinite, and thereby minimizing all anxiety and our terrible nervous and mental tensions. If we are able to do this, We will feel a sort of peace even long before being really able to meditate. We should make it a point to relax as much as possible before attempting meditation. We should have a short break after lunch, say at 2 o'clock or so. Even a short cat nap refreshes the mind greatly. This is very useful but very difficult for many people to practice. For many, it is difficult to have just a little break in the hectic and feverish activities of their mind and fill it again with the holy image and the harmonizing vibrations of the holy sound. We should also make it a point never to read anything worldly, novels, fiction, or stories before going to bed or before falling asleep. At that time, we ought to have some holy thought and some holy sound to dwell on. Think that you are going to sleep in the lap of God, or your soul like a point of light, or your soul like a point of light is getting merged in the ocean of divine light, or some such idea. The divine should fill our whole mind before we fall asleep. If we permit ourselves to read something worldly, this goes on working in our unconscious mind during the hours of our sleep and will produce very bad effects. In the evening, we should be very careful about what we allow our mind to busy itself with. There should be a concentrated and peaceful dwelling on the divine, either the divine form or the divine name or both, which is the most efficacious way. Only thus can we gradually succeed in transforming the contents of our subconscious mind. It is very harmful to read worldly books before falling asleep, but we generally do not realize the extent of the harm we do to ourselves by being careless in this respect. The workings of the unconscious mind during the time of our sleep are very important and should not be lost sight of. If you find it difficult to remember the Lord as soon as you wake up in the morning and also before you go to bed, keep a picture of Him nearby and make it a point to look at it when you switch off your light and again when you wake up in the morning. If you practice this habit of looking at His picture, you will soon find it difficult to go to bed or wake up without thinking about Him. There is one more point which should be mentioned. If you make up at night, at once begin doing your japa in a quiet, peaceful way without any unnecessary strain. But during the time of your practice, japa and sleep should never get connected. That is very bad. Before going to bed, do 100 to 1000 times japa. Fill yourself with the holy sound and make it a point never to stop doing japa before having reached the number you intended to do. Next section, have a fixed center of consciousness. You must have a fixed center of consciousness. You can find it only by seeking the source of your I consciousness or by trying to seek contact with the divine. Hold on to this center of consciousness always. Never choose a center lower than the heart. Never try to concentrate the mind on the lower centers, even though some tantric books prescribe it. For the beginner, concentration at the lower centers could lead to the rousing of sex and other passions. Control of food. A spiritual aspirant must at no time overload his stomach with food. Food must be given its proper place in spiritual life. It should not become a sort of obsession. Fix the quantity and type of food that suits your needs. Fasting once in a fortnight or so is good, but it is better to exercise moderation always. Fasting does not suit certain body constitutions. Such people should avoid the temptation to fast. There are some people who go on trying to fast and failing at it. They are always worried about it. Instead of thinking about God always, a lot of time and energy is wasted in these needless struggles. Posture. Regarding asana posture, you should have two different ones so that you can change the one for the other when you feel the strain. The central theme of sadhana is meditation, and everything else is but a preparation for the mind to have the right mood. When the right mood comes, meditation becomes very easy. In India, there is now a revival of practicing the different asanas. All these postures are not necessary for spiritual life. What is more important is that we should feel stable, relaxed and comfortable with the body and head erect. This becomes easy and natural only after sufficient practice. This reminds us of the verse from chapter 6 Dhyana Yoga, where Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about the posture for meditation. This is shlokas 13 and 14. Samankaya shiro grivan dharayannachalam sthirah samprekshya nasikagram swan dishashchanavalokayan प्रशान्तात्मा विगतभीर् ब्रह्मचारिव्रते स्थितः मनः संयम्य मच्चित्तो युक्त आसीत मत्परः. Holding oneself firm without moving, keeping the body, head and neck in one straight line, as though looking at the tip of one's nose for eye position and not looking in all directions. Being the one whose mind is tranquil, who is free from fear, established in one's commitment to the life of a brahmacharin. May that meditator sit thinking of me, having me as the ultimate goal, while withdrawing the mind from everything else. So he's talking here about posture, about the meditative practice. Then on control of food, he talks in the next verse. That is not next word, the shloka number 16. Natyashnatastu yogosti nachaikantamanashnatah nachatasvapnashilasya jagrato naiva charjuna. Meditation, and he's talking about eating too. Meditation is not for one who eats too much or for one who does not eat at all, nor indeed, Arjuna, it is for one who sleeps too much or who is always awake. So he's addressing both eating and sleeping. And then in the following verse, he's talking about a moderate lifestyle in all aspects of ordinary day-to-day life. Chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, Sloka number 17. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkaha. For one who is moderate in eating and other activities, who is mindful in all activities, and into one's sleeping and waking hours, for such a person, meditation becomes the destroyer of sorrows. Rhythmic breathing. Next section. Practice of pranayama is dangerous in the case of the majority of people who can neither follow a regulated quiet life nor be under the constant guidance of a qualified teacher. But there is no harm in practicing regulated breathing without holding the breath. At first one may practice it at definite times. Later on one can do it at other times also. Try to practice rhythmic breathing always until it becomes a habit. Irregular breath is a tremendous waste of energy, and at the same time it makes the mind restless. The senses must be subdued. The mind must be made rhythmic. The wheels of the whole body machine must come under your control, and then you enjoy operating the machine. Next section. Need for constant alertness. Learn to become fully conscious under all circumstances and in all situations of life, and learn to recognize your own true motives in every undertaking. Criticize yourself severely, but this criticism must always be constructive and never merely destructive if it is to help you in your spiritual striving and evolution. The negative attitude, I am a sinner, only makes you a sinner all the more and takes away from you all spiritual initiative. Habit is formed through repeated actions. By changing the actions, habits can be changed. Habit is only our second nature, not an essential part of our being. So, through steady practice, even the worst habit can be changed. The older the habit, the more difficult it is to overcome it. But One should not feel depressed if a bad habit persists even after repeated attempts to change it. If one keeps oneself watchful and alert over the workings of one's unconscious mind and sticks to a strict regimen of spiritual disciplines, all wrong habits will soon dwindle and disappear. But there must be perseverance and patience. Where there is a will, there is a way. See that you do not cultivate new bad habits. The old habits are troublesome enough. The strength of a chain is to be judged by the strength of its weakest link, and so our capacity to stand evil company or association is to be judged by our response to it during our weakest moments. We should therefore be on our guard, trying to protect ourselves as much as possible from evil influences, and should also put forth every effort to strengthen the weakest links in our character through right thinking and conduct, through self-analysis, prayer, and meditation. If we are really watchful and try to lead the life of a sincere aspirant, we will be able to notice all the movements of our mind, all the thoughts and impulses that rise in it. Ordinarily, we are so dull and careless about all this that we become aware of the perilous state we are in only after the horse of our mind has thrown us into the ditch. But before reaching it, it had gone all the way to the ditch quite unperceived because of our carelessness and lack of right striving. Hold the reins tight. All accidents on the path are due to carelessness. So be on your guard. Be always careful. Never leave your mind unwatched, not even for a single minute. This is a general rule for all aspirants, whatever the path they may follow. Next section, adjustment with your environment. Create a spiritual atmosphere wherever you are. Convert your room into a shrine. When you visit a holy place or a monastery, it is not enough you enjoy its holy atmosphere. You must also contribute something to it. In the West, the whole spiritual atmosphere has been depleted. The same thing may happen in India also if we don't learn to contribute something to it. Buildings and pictures are not enough. Very often these come at the expense of spirituality. It is no use grumbling about the environment. The world cannot change for you. You have to change yourself. You have to tune yourself properly and come in contact with the vast presence, the higher reality. During the period of spiritual practice, we should think only of God and ourselves. We should forget everything else. Let us not worry about anything other than God. We should live with the divine alone. It is true, is not the ultimate stage to be reached, but it is a very necessary stepping stone to its attainment. Ultimately, we must realize the same divine being in all, love all because of Him, for Him, and through Him alone. Next section, cultivate a definite attitude towards the divine. A spiritual aspirant must cultivate a definite attitude or relationship with the divine. To begin with, he must love a particular aspect of God or a holy personality intensely. Then he must learn to see the cosmic being at the back of the personal God, and then he should see the absolute at the back of the cosmic. The holy personality, the incarnation of the personal God, should take us step by step to the highest knowledge. The realization of the absolute, the transcendental, proceeds always through the realization of the immanent divine principle. No one can take a long jump and reach the absolute without the necessary preparation, however great may be its appeal to the intellect. The more we succeed in creating within ourselves a cosmic outlook, the more we feel that there is neither man nor woman, neither subject nor object, but that all is the one manifesting itself through different names and forms. We must learn to see God alone even in all awful, terrible things, without ever allowing the awful, the terrible to overpower our mind. He is even in all gross, impure, awful and vulgar things. But these manifestations must never be permitted to affect our mind or to take possession of it. Unless we develop the cosmic perspective, we cannot attain balance and calmness of mind. To the extent we succeed in seeing the one alone, to that extent we forget all limitations and pairs of opposites. We forget the whole play of the phenomenal world. And we can do this if we see that everything else but God is insignificant and fleeting, of secondary importance, a mere shadow, an unsubstantial passing show. Unless we are able to rid ourselves of the temptations presented to our mind by the senses, and unless we are able to achieve the control of this unruly mind, it is not possible to truly turn to the divine and make him the pivot of our life. Learn to see things as they are. Everywhere on the phenomenal plane, you find filth and flowers side by side. They are eternally inseparable so long as we do not go beyond the plane of manifestation, the plane of the pairs of opposites. During the early period of your sadhana, create a disgust for the world and its pleasures. Later on, you can overcome this disgust and look upon the world through spiritual eyes. Next section. Learn to manipulate your own mind. You must learn to touch the mind at the right point. You cannot get milk from the cow if you do not know how to milk it. You must become expert milkers if you want to get the greatest quantity of milk. In the same way, unless you know how to manipulate your own mind, you cannot get much benefit from it, even though you may have filled it with so many good ideas by reading books. Instead of milk, you may get only some good kicks. The mind has many compartments. Some of them you must lock up carefully, that is, bad impulses and memories must be checked. The others must be opened, that is, the tendency to practice detachment, devotion, etc., must be encouraged. And finally, you must set fire to all the compartments, for God is beyond both good and bad. We'll stop here. Next time we'll start with the section, Turn to God alone always. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.